crack open my Red Bull.
Oh, fuck yeah. Good audio.
Good fuck. I've got a Live Plus.
Good fuck.
Good fuck.
You can do some
Good fuck to you.
ASMR. Good fuck to you today.
I will, some ASMR, like...
That's what they come here to listen to.
ASMR. Speak really low and quiet into the microphone.
I like to imagine that, like, 2 people listen to us to fall asleep.
Yeah, one of them's me.
Oh, Lord, Jacob, you come back every week and drag us right through the mud.
Jacob
That's what I'm here to
his
do.
own podcast.
I'm here to temper expectations.
Yeah, they weren't any to begin with, but you gotta temper them anyway.
I need people to understand that we understand.
We understand how shit we are.
No.
It's
Everyone
the brand.
Stop listening right now.
You can't bury us. We will be your accountability buddies.
Accountability. And if you want us to be your accountability buddy, I don't know if that's how it's said. This whole preamble is probably all going to be in the podcast.
Nice.
Because I'm editing this week, and I'm going to do as little work as possible.
Oh, lovely.
No,
I'm going to be very careful with my words this week because I don't have power anymore.
This is good shit. And this is the Triple Friends podcast.
Hello.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the Triple Friends podcast. Are we doing this back-to-back weeks? That's unheard of. I'm Jacob, and I'm here with 2 other people.
I'm Daisy, and I'm here with one
Tony.
other person. Okay.
Hello. Hi, Tony.
I'm Tony.
Welcome. Our special guest, Tony.
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 Hello, everyone.
Now that the intro's out of the way, why don't we talk about some wrestling? It was a fairly slow week this week compared to the 3 weeks we had to cover before that had just all of the wrestling news in the world and Danielson versus Suzuki somewhere in there too. So pretty
Funny how that happens when we don't do anything for 4 weeks. A lot happens.
A lot happened this week. Like, I feel like not as much happened, but still a lot happened this week. It's the weird state of wrestling we're in where everything happens all at once, as well as nothing happens ever.
It felt like a very cursed week in wrestling. It just was a very cursed week.
I mean, a cursed week coming off of maybe one of the most cursed G1s ever. No, the most cursed G1 ever.
Yeah,
the curse of the G131, if you will. And I'm so sad about it because I've enjoyed saying G131 every week, multiple times a week. It was such a weird year because even the one that was in the heart of the pandemic, like, you could feel that, like, they were in the pandemic and they were trying their best, even though it was still very awkward at the time. But this year, it's in that weird midway point where all of the crowds are still silent and clapping. They can only clap, they can't make audible noise. And you could feel that they were trying to recapture that G1 spirit. And they just sort of... There was a lot of weird decisions. The least of which was the very first match of the tournament, having the Tokyo Pimp, Yujiro Takahashi, pin Kota Ibushi. That was really the stamp of when you know that maybe this wasn't going to be the best G1 ever.
It's taken me ages to figure out how, like, the G1 brackets work, but it's all about points, isn't it?
It's a round robin.
It took you ages to figure that out, Tony?
All about points.
It took you ages to figure out that it's about points?
Yeah. I'm used to tournaments and brackets.
Do hockey do that type of thing? Because I'm used to rugby, and rugby do round robin style.
No, hockey doesn't. I don't think hockey does round robin. I think it might be like... I think it might be like best of when it comes to hockey. So if you're at, like, the very end with the playoffs. No, I'm pretty sure it's like once... No, yeah, I think it's like best of. So it's
got
like
no clue. I just assumed everyone did round robins, but I guess not.
No, but to be fair, it's been a while since I watched hockey, and my brain does not retain information very well. But I'm pretty sure it's like once you in the playoffs, it's like even if you lose a match, you're not automatically out. But I guess with the ladder, it's like points wise, how many games you win and all that. But it's a bit different with the G1. And I guess in wrestling, I'm just used to eliminated tournaments where it's like you lose, you're fucked.
I like the G1 format because it does give a lot of amazing matches in a short period of time, which is pretty much the strong suit of this year. Like, if anything is going for this year, that a lot of the matches were really good, and most of those matches had Zack Sabre Jr. in them. But there were just a lot of unfortunate things that happened. Some on the fault of the bookers, some not, and some just just coming from fans that are a bit fed up with the New Japan sort of status quo, and we're kind of hoping for maybe something new. I'm speaking for myself because I wasn't initially excited for Okada winning, but I've come around on it. But I definitely feel like there was like a smog over this one, starting with Eugero beating Ibushi, which was super unfortunate, and everyone was very surprised about that because he beat him clean. Like, he just beat him pretty much as clean as it gets in the first match of the tournament. So Ibushi wasn't even like 8 matches deep, and he gets an unfortunate loss. He just lost to Eugero. It really made no sense. And then,
Correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't another unfortunate one was Chase Owens pinning Tanahashi clean?
yep, that did happen.
Ugh.
I mean, at least that one starting the storyline of Kenta stepping in front of Eugero, even though Eugero earned the match. I like that they're going with that story. But yeah, Eugero just I might have said Eugero twice there. Eugero beating Ibushi was super unfortunate, and then on the same night, Naito gets injured and is taken out of the tournament, and it just gives two points to everyone, which I understand why everyone gets points for Naito going out, because technically he forfeits all of his matches. But that's when I think it should have been locked in that Zack Sabre Jr. gets to the finals. And we'll talk about the finals in a second, because that's probably, I know that you two probably didn't watch a lot of the G1 because it wasn't really worth watching. But Zack Sabre Jr. put in a lot of work, and he was technically the only person to actually beat Naito. So the fact that when they got to the last night and there were 4 people still in contention to get to the finals, and Zack was the first person out of those 4 people to be eliminated, I felt did a disservice to all the work he did. But he did also get a pretty good consolation prize at the final night.
I just, this just kind of to me, and obviously injuries happen, but we know this already. Like, there's been plenty of wrestlers, I'm pretty sure, who at least have kind of confirmed the fact that the G1 isn't often booked all the way to the end. They sometimes do make stuff up as they go along. I think Kenny Omega, pretty famously, it was decided halfway through the tournament that he was going to win it. I don't think they tend to decide, and it's very possible that they wanted Naito going forward to the finals. His injury changed that, and their immediate thought was, we'll go to another guy of similar sort of stature, which is Ibushi. I don't think that Ibushi was ever meant to be in the finals, especially with that Eugero loss. It just doesn't... I still can't fathom why they would do that if he was meaning to go to the finals to begin with. Very strange all the way through. I didn't watch it though, so I usually watch the G1. Didn't watch it this year because New Japan has pissed me off for the past 10 months, and I decided against it. But yeah, you can go back to talking about Shibata if you want.
Well, yeah, just going off of what you were saying, if they were gonna go with Naito and they were replacing him, I would have rathered it be Zach, because I think a lot of people, justified or not, were a bit soured on Ibushi being the finalist for a fourth year in a row, and like I understand, like that's a fourth time in a row gets a little ridiculous, and I kind of appreciate that he had that record now, but yeah, a little bit much. But yeah, Shibata returned. Jesus Christ, no one saw that coming, and it was so casual too, because Zack Sabre Jr. just came out and he was wearing like uh, MMA shorts, and everyone was like, "Oh, what's Zack Sabre Jr. doing?" And then Shibata's music hits, and everyone's like, "No, just surely not." Shibata's he had the forehead thing. He almost killed himself with that. He definitely isn't. And then he walks out. He's also in MMA shorts. Everyone in the crowd starts cheering. They're like, "COVID be damned. We're gonna cheer for Shibata." And yeah, he came out to have like a 5-minute exhibition match. There's a special word for it. I can't remember what that type of match is called. And then at the end, he said, "Hey, next time you see me in the ring, I'm gonna be wrestling." And goddamn, that was it. Like honestly, one of the best moments of the year.
There's nothing better than someone who most people thought would never come back, coming back. It is just like a feeling like Brian Danielson, sorry, Edge, all that, stuff like that. When that happens, it is always insane, because you kind of resign yourself to someone never coming back. But it's kind of the era now. It seems Christian as well, I guess. It seems to be the era of injuries. I don't know, magically curing themselves, and people being able to wrestle again, which is very nice, very good for everyone involved. And I hope we get more of that as long as it's all safe and good. Very excited for Shibata, and hopefully die again.
Yeah, the thing with Shibata is that his injury was horrific. It was like, what was it, like a subdural hematoma in the brain because he kept using the headbutt?
Something like
I don't
that.
know the details. All I know is that I can't remember. It was like
he almost died.
It was after a show. All I remember about, because I wasn't watching New Japan for long before this, I don't think. Or maybe I was. No, I probably was. But I don't think I was tuning in properly at the time. I'm pretty sure it was after an Okada match.
Yeah, it was after his match with Okada, and he hit the headbutt. And it's one of my favorite matches ever. Is the Sakura Genesis match between them, because it's the match that I show people who I want them to get into wrestling as like a dramatic sports like thing, because I'm like, no, just look at them. It starts out with grappling and then it just builds in intensity. And the moment that Shibata hits that headbutt and you just see the blood start to trickle down his forehead, it's such a beautiful moment, but it sucks that it was so catastrophic for his career.
Yeah. Well, I just hope that he's not back prematurely, because, yeah, that shit kills people.
Yeah, he seems to be fine coming back. It's been 4 years since 3 years, 4 years.
I think getting close to 4. I think.
Yeah, somewhere between those two numbers. I feel like if the little exhibition match we got with him and Zach, which was just 5 minutes of grappling, is any indication, I think he's gonna come back with even more of a mat-based style than he had even before. He's probably, hopefully, not gonna do the headbutt at all.
He really shouldn't. He really shouldn't. Let's not have him do that.
Really hope not, but man, it's just so, like, it's insane seeing him back, because even though that match is one of my favorite, I went back and watched it after I started watching New Japan in like 2019. I got into it when a lot of people did at the Okada Omega feud, which was after that. So all I know about Shibata's work in the ring, I've gone back and watched. So it's insane that he's back and I'm gonna get to see him in the present day have all those matches. I'm super excited for it.
I'm very happy for you. I hope it all, I hope it all goes well, obviously. Crossing my fingers for everyone involved. And we have no more cursed injuries, as we did in the following match.
Oh, God.
I'm going to quote T.S. Eliot when I talk about this final. This is the way that the G131 ends, not with a bang, but with a whimper. It was very sad.
Not with a bang, but with a snap.
With a little snap and definitely a whimper. Oh my god. Now, this was just a disaster, and I feel like of all the people in this world who did not deserve to go out like that, in a big final, it might be Ibushi. He's had a terrible year. He had a bad belt run to begin with. It ended so badly. He had one defense. Everyone hated it. The new belt coming in, everyone hated it. He's already got a lot of heat for that. We have all this G1 stuff. People aren't really hot on him anymore. And then I think he dislocated his shoulder was the official diagnosis.
But it seemed like it was his wrist.
I think he was holding it. It could have been, but New Japan, I think, confirmed it was his shoulder. So I think it might just be his whole arm sort of was in a lot of pain due to the dislocation thing. But he was holding his wrist close to him. It was sad. He was crying. He wanted to keep going. Okada looked upset, as you would be, and like no one wants to win like that. Like no one wants to win the G1 like that, of all things. And so, yeah, all I can say about that really is it is just terrible for everyone involved. And New Japan are just in a rough spot right now. A rough patch like no other I've ever seen in New Japan for the time that I've been watching, at least.
Yeah,
Curse of the title belt continues. The curse of the new title belt, I should say, continues. It has been a very cursed title, and by the looks of it, Okada's bringing the original one back, which might alleviate the curse. Also, who do we think cursed it?
Jado.
The belt maker. Little did we know the new belt was forged over a burial ground.
Yeah.
Who was super against it?
Everyone.
In storyline, was it Naito?
Jay was very against it in storyline. That's mostly what I remember. But like,
I cursed it.
Yeah, none of that. Like, I don't know. I don't believe any of it out of kayfabe. I just don't know. Everyone's working at all times, I guess.
It's just super unfortunate. Like, it's one of the most unfortunate match endings, I think, ever, if not in recent history, because it's not just a match ending like that. It's not just a big match ending like that. It's the G1 finals, something that's supposed to be the culmination of this whole 2-month tournament and like the two best people in either bracket, and it just like it really feels like that was the halfway point of the match, if that, because these things tend to go long. I don't know exactly how long the match went, but it definitely did not go as long, especially since at the beginning, Kevin Kelly and Chris Charlton were talking up how both men, or at least how Ibushi has had the longest G1 finals, and now he's up against Okada, who also has long matches. It really felt like they were gearing up for another very long match, and then like he's missed the Phoenix Splash before, which was the move that he injured himself on. He's missed it before, but just the way he came down on his arms, you could like see his arm like shimmer when he hit the ground, shimmer, and it like I was watching with the friend that I watch New Japan with, and we went back and we had to watch it, but you can definitely see his arm just fuck itself on that landing, and it's like, and you immediately know something's wrong. He's laying on the mat, and the doctor comes into the ring, or the ref checks on him, and they ring the bell, and Okada's just sitting there like, well, fuck. It was insane.
Yeah, I mean, when that was going on, I almost thought that I don't know, I guess they wouldn't, but I almost thought that they might have, because it ended so short, that they might have, I don't know, given a rematch to Okada and whoever came second. But they didn't. They just kind of handed it off to Okada, who looked very dejected as he as he took the trophy, and Ibushi was being carried away backstage. I totally agree. This is one of the worst. Like because it is. It is like a huge thing to be in the G1 finals. I can't think of anything worse other than maybe this happening at the Wrestle Kingdom main event. Like, it is real bad. And yeah, I hope he takes some time, because I honestly believe that he's been pushed a little bit too hard with his pneumonia. I haven't been watching, but I've been hearing that he's been looking a little bit slow. That can all play into mistakes being made. Things. A move like the Phoenix Splash, it is incredibly precise. It looks insane looking at it from afar. So to pull something off like that, especially if he's not at 100%, you almost think that something was bound to happen at some point. So all I'm hoping from this is that he gets a little bit of time to properly rest and recover, and they don't bring him back in too soon. So knowing that it is a dislocation, not a break, that makes me think maybe he will be back soon. But I'm hoping he takes a good amount of time off, so he can come back when he's fully healthy. Same as Naito. I hope everyone gets rid of their injuries and everyone feels great, and we don't have any bad things happening, and hopefully Tiny's right about the curse being lifted, because I can't deal with any more of this.
But wait, who's that in the crowd? Is that the premier athlete, Tony Nese?
Oh, you weren't kidding. You really were going to go straight into Tony Nese.
Oh, no, yeah. We stopped the recording just so I could think of that transition.
That was way clunkier than I thought. But I love it. It's Tony Nese.
There are 11 other things on this document of topics to talk about before Tony Nese.
I know. I just wanted to address the fact that he's in the crowd. Do you think Dynamite waited till it was relevant to bring up Tony Nese? No, because that point would have never come.
I mean, you're right. There really was no time to bring him up. And again, in this podcast, there is probably no appropriate time to bring in Tony Nese.
Tony Nese
I hope
is
he's enjoying
now.
the show. Yeah, he is. He's watching. He's listening. We want to know his thoughts on all the injuries. God, that's horrible. I guess that's a great transition. Maybe Tony was in the G1 crowd. Who knows?
Who knows?
Lance Archer falls on his face, and they got to cut to Tony Nese.
What does Tony Nese think about this?
What does Tony Nese think about this?
He was on Dark, by the way. I don't know if anyone saw it. He is wrestling officially for the AEW.
Oh, nice.
And what a catch for AEW, the world's premier athlete. One-time cruiserweight champion for 77 days. Tony Nese.
I just wanted to bring up the fact that he's here. He's going to be in the corner for the entirety of this podcast and every podcast to come. He's just here now.
I'm thinking Full Gear. Hangman wins the title. It's amazing. It's dramatic. It's beautiful. It's the culmination of over 2 years worth of storytelling. He lifts it over his head. Suddenly, the lights go out. Music hits. Tony Nese runs in with the money in the bank briefcase. Pins Hangman. Wins the AEW title.
Tony Nese comes in and calls his shot.
He does, and he gets it.
Do we want to... I know it's not on our list, but Bound for Glory did happen. Do we want to briefly talk about the Moose thing?
I kind of want to talk about it just because the event as a whole seemed like something of a disaster.
That's what I've heard.
I think that begins in some ways with not having any people that they sort of hinted at having coming in, and ends with Moose taking the title off of fan favorite Josh Alexander.
It started on a good note, which is the iconic / the inspiration debut.
The thing about that is, like, I like them, for the record, but it is the most Impact thing ever. And this is what people accuse AEW of doing all the time, is, like, new people come in and they just take the belts on the first day. Like, oh,
Yeah,
come
I
on.
didn't agree with that. I didn't agree with that, but I was happy to see them.
It's very
At least.
Impact.
It is very Impact, like, and no one calls Impact out on, like, pushing the ex-WWE. No, AEW gets all that flack.
That's because no one cares enough about Impact, and I like Impact. I will stand
How
by.
dare you? They have at least 10 fans.
I
At
know they
least
have
10.
enough fans to rival our own audience, but I feel like the one good point about Impact is that they do what WWE does, but a little bit better. So if you want to watch WWE, just watch Impact. It's about the same, but like with more logic and like with better continuity. But that being said, yeah, I've only caught clips of the show, and I've watched reviews of it, of course. But just the idea, it's not just the idea of having like a cash in at the end of the main event, and especially for someone like Moose, who his whole storyline has been that he's been chasing that championship this entire time and fallen short against like Rich Swann, against Kenny Omega. It like that's a fine culmination. It's the fact that they're just like, oh, we got to get like a battle royal on this card so we can have something for him to cash in the main event. That's the part that's like really janky.
It all seems a bit
Also-
screwy.
Also, again, it's like everyone, they've been building to Josh Alexander winning it for ages, and he's a fan favorite. It would literally be like I said, somebody cashing in on Hangman at the end of Full Gear and taking it off him. And it's just kind of sad because it's like, oh, Josh Alexander got the Impact belt, and it's gone.
And it's gone.
Gone. To fucking Moose.
I guess people have been saying that, like, his contract is up in 2 months and he has not re-signed. So that sort of makes sense as to why they went on the title, but also at the same time, like, why wouldn't you just have him lose? Is it because of the partnership ending? Is that why? Like, was this an absolute necessity? Because, like, I don't know if that has been confirmed by anyone aside from ringside and kind of hinted at by Sean Rossap that the Impact AEW partnership is coming to a close, and Christian is no longer allowed in the Impact zone. Is that why this happened?
Did you see the person on Twitter that said that the only reason that Moose won the title now and not off of Kenny Omega is because Kenny Omega is racist?
I did.
What? Sorry, what?
Yeah. Yeah. They also called Kenny a twink. Or Twinkle Toes.
Twinkle
Sorry,
Toes.
I got twinks on the mind after Dynamite.
I was gonna say twink. Twink. I'll agree with. Twinkle Toes, no. Twinkle Toes feels like their way of saying a homophobic slur.
It is
without actually saying a homophobic slur. Yeah, it is. Well, screw that person.
But
hey, if you're that person and you're listening, fuck you, buddy.
I'm sure they aren't. But just back on this Moose thing, it's my opinion that things that are to be cashed in should be in a briefcase and won in a ladder match. Like, literally, I know that seems like WWE brain maybe, but I don't like the cash in gimmick if it's not from like a ladder match or a Feast or Fired match. Just why didn't they do a Feast or Fired? If this was going to be the plan, why didn't they just do Feast or Fired? They could have fired like someone who's leaving, and then they could have given someone the X Division shot, the tag team shot. Feast or Fired, it doesn't get talked enough about as like a decent gimmick. It's very gimmicky. It's very TNA. But Feast or Fired as a cash-in mechanic and having someone who's on their way out get the red slip, I think that's a pretty fun gimmick match. And they haven't done it in a while. And they could have done it to give Moose like a proper briefcase to cash in. But no, you got to cash in the tiny dollar store trophy. I don't know. Yeah, that was weird.
I agree. I agree. It's definitely WWE brain that has also made me this way. But there's something about it that, like, if you don't have something big and gimmicky to, like, throw in the ring, like, throw it down, like, something big and substantial to, like, yeah, toss in the ring or, like, hit someone over the head with, it kind of feels, like, weird. It doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel right. I agree with you. I wish he had something, maybe a big briefcase, maybe a very large trophy.
A very
Maybe
large trophy.
an AEW style Sonic ring. He could have like put it around Joss Alexander's neck and like choked him. I don't know. Maybe not a good idea with Moses history. But yeah.
Hey.
Sorry.
No, that was good. I like that.
No. Yeah, I agree was my point. Is where I was going with that.
Yeah, and I don't think we need to harp on this much longer.
Okay.
That was just a diversion from our actual list.
May I have a
Yeah,
may I have
of
a
course.
transition? Speaking of fucking terrible booking decisions,
Yay!
let's talk about the whatever the fuck was going on with that Charlotte Becky thing.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Listen, before we get started on this, I'm going to disagree with you both. I know already, so just try not to fight me. Continue.
Are you gonna subtweet me on air again?
Yes. No, we'll discuss it. But you guys share your thoughts first if you want.
Okay, I would just like to say since that report came out, my opinion has changed on it. But yeah, so they had like they had a segment. So Becky has been drafted to Raw and Charlotte has been drafted to SmackDown. Is that correct?
Yep,
Unless
that's
it's the other way
correct.
around. Yeah.
That's the one.
But Becky has the SmackDown title and Charlotte has the Raw title. So they decided to do a segment where they swapped the belts and it was terrible. It was weird and awkward and just there was a lot of them throwing the belts on the ground and tossing them. And Shayna Baszler, my god.
Sonya Deville?
Sonya Deville, that's it. Oh, I'm so sorry, Sonya Deville.
The other dark-haired MMA.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Sonya Deville. Deville is way superior.
Hard
Sonya
disagree.
Deville's there. Hey,
We'll have this conversation later. They're both great, but I do think Shayna Baszler is better.
Sonya Deville's there. She looks awkward. She doesn't know what's going on. It's all weird. They finally trade the titles. And it was just a very weird segment. And then a report comes out afterwards that there was legitimate heat between Becky and Charlotte and they had an altercation backstage. And Charlotte got escorted off the premises.
Yeah, like, obviously we don't know the full details, and this is obviously a very complicated situation between all parties involved, but just watching that segment, it's super, you can tell that there's tension, that like real tension, not fake wrestler tension, like, because you have Becky, like, so apparently they're supposed to, like, Becky was supposed to grab the title and hold both belts and have that Becky 2-belt thing and then hand over her title, but instead of letting Becky take the title, the Raw Women's title drops to the ground and Charlotte has to pick it up and hand it over. And then in frustration after the fact, Becky throws the SmackDown title at Charlotte and that drops on the ground. So in one segment, both of these prestigious championships have touched the ground because they've just been thrown around willy-nilly. And yeah, it's come out since that, or not even since, like there's been reports for like months now that Charlotte has been having a rough time in that locker room, and like depending on who you talk to, it's either like the people in the locker room don't like her because she's entitled and she doesn't like to play ball with people, she doesn't like to sell for people, she doesn't like looking bad, or from the Charlotte camp of people that, people are kind of mean to her. it's a very complicated situation, and I don't know. It seemed to reach a point here that something's got to break somewhere.
Yeah, so it's just brought. I think it's brought up a lot of. Is Charlotte going to stay with WWE things? Which yes, I think she will, because they are going to be hard pressed to let her go, seeing as they push her all the time.
It's just so weird because she is, as far as female wrestlers go, she is at Roman Reigns status. They've put so many title reigns into her already. She's at like 12 now, 13 including this title swap, because it counts as a new reign.
She's the woman who's had the highest number of championships in WWE history.
I think she's a woman with the highest number of title reigns ever. Maybe like Minami Toyota. What's her name? Did I just say that name wrong?
No, I think that was right.
Okay.
The Joshis are coming for you.
I know. I'm always afraid to say anything about Joshis because I don't follow those products, and I'll get something wrong, and the army will be on me. But yeah, Charlotte has, at least she's competing for the most title reigns, just flat out of any women's wrestler ever. And the fact that there's so much heat backstage with her, and just even this idea that she might leave the company that has just been putting all of their eggs in this one basket, it's kind of insane, but I don't think it's too far out of the realm of possibility, especially because Andrade and Redacted Flair are both out of that company. It seems like she could easily follow. But Daisy, you said you had maybe an opposing view on this.
Maybe I do. I don't know. I just think that this whole thing is being like way blown out of proportion in some ways. I feel like people are making Charlotte into some kind of martyr, which I don't think fits her at all. Like, none of us know obviously what goes on backstage. What is the truth to the backstage stuff? Who was in the wrong? Who is bullying who? Like, none of us know, right? But I've seen people compare it to CM Punk.
Oh, okay, no.
Like, I've seen people like make comparisons that are not very accurate when this is the woman, like you just said, with the most title reigns in that company's history. She is one of the most powerful women's wrestlers in the world, in terms of status. I don't think we need to create this narrative about Charlotte that she is, I don't know, somehow being massively hard done by. Obviously, things happen behind the scenes. She might not be happy with her booking. But yeah, I'm not a fan of the very strange narrative that it seems to be going around that, like, I don't know, like, you need to save her because she's so, I don't know, she's so helpless. It's like, she's a grown woman. She'll work it out for herself. And we don't need to like speak for her or her emotions or like act like we know what's going on in her head or what she wants to do with her career. It just kind of makes me uncomfortable the way that people are like, I don't know, putting her on some like pedestal and like babying her. It's very weird to me. And yeah, I don't know. In terms of if she's going to go or stay, if you know, she with the Andrade stuff, it's clear that he wants her in AEW. I can see her going to AEW. I think that more than anything, it would be just so she could go over and be in the same sphere as Andrade is in right now, because she's kind of done everything she can do in WWE. That's true. I don't know if she's reached a ceiling there. She maybe has in some ways. So to do something new might be intriguing to her, as I'm sure it is to a lot of people. But yeah, in general, I think both people in that segment came off looking really bad. I don't think Becky looked good, and I don't think Charlotte looked good. So I'm not going to agree with anyone who thinks that it's all Becky's fault and Charlotte is the one here that is like completely blame free. I think like they both come off like children, basically. Is my view anyway. Yeah, that's it. I don't know. For some reason, I assumed that everyone disagreed with that.
What?
I feel like I'm in the minority with that opinion.
No, I agree with that entirely. I thought you were gonna say disagree in terms of whether on wanting her in AEW, or like wouldn't be opposed to her being in AEW. She decided to come over.
Oh, I guess. I mean, I'm not really keen on her coming over, but that's another conversation, I suppose.
I feel like a lot of the what you're saying of people sort of defending her, and a lot more people than I sort of expect are coming out to defend her. But I think a lot of that and a lot of her being like treated as someone who's being treated very unfairly comes from sort of a mixture of a lot of the rumors that have almost been confirmed by like Flair and Andrade, that she's like frustrated with creative, and you can see for like years now that her creative hasn't been very good. Like people might even like people like her as a wrestler. People enjoy watching her wrestle and they acknowledge that she is very good at wrestling. But all of her storylines are either samey or really bad. And so I can see people sort of coming to her aid on that front. And the other thing is that in some of the reports of this situation, and I think it was, and I don't want to attribute this to the wrong person, so if this sounds wrong to you, I think it was Alex McCarthy from TalkSport that sort of reported that backstage Becky is being heralded as a hero, quote unquote, for standing up to Charlotte Flair. And I think that might be rubbing some people the wrong way about this whole situation, because obviously in that segment they were both kind of petty and childish, but the fact that one of them is being seen as this is good and the other one is being seen as this is bad. And they even edited the portion out where Charlotte throws her belt on the ground, but not the part where Becky throws her title at Charlotte. So I think that is another reason why people are siding with Charlotte on this one. And even the belt swap itself as a segment idea is just so bad. They did it last year with the Street Profits and the New Day because they were going over to the other brands, and like they just handed them over and they're like, yeah, good luck, have fun on your new brand, got this new title, that's fun. But this year they gave themselves time. They gave themselves a 3-week buffer to sort that shit out, and they decided to do this anyway. And without all the petty bullshit, that segment was just going to be 5 minutes of here's my belt, here are your new belts. 5 minutes done. We've wasted 5 minutes on this program. It's a wild situation. It's very interesting when you break it down, just how stupid all the parts are.
Yeah, agreed.
Speaking of stupid,
It's dumb.
we got more Harland.
Oh, okay.
We
did.
did. Oh, the GIF?
The GIF.
That's all the Harland I've seen. Harland update.
Harland update. So are we calling the ship name? Are we calling them Garland?
Oh, that's cute. I thought we said it on Gayland, but I think
Garland. No, it is
Gayland.
No,
Garland's
right.
very wholesome.
No, we're not talking about Wizard of Oz. We're talking about Gayland. Yeah. So Gayland update. Harland is apparently, and again, we're going off of only the GIFs we see. So according to a GIF, Harland is in like a prison, and Joe Gacy is talking to him in like the visitor box, and Gacy puts his hand up to the window, but Harland also puts his hand up to the window, and in the reflection you see Harland behind Joe Gacy. It's art. I really think they're going with something a bit homoerotic here.
I mean, like, I just think that it would be amazing if they did. I don't trust them for a second to, like, pull it off right or respectfully. But, I don't know. Wrestling, despite how fun it's been recently, in some ways it's very boring. And I think that it'd spice things up a little bit. Because, like, no one's ballsy enough to do that. I mean, they are in Japan. But no one in the Western sphere at the moment is brave enough to put some sort of star-crossed lovers gay love story on their programming. So I'm down. I think we're all down for it, though. I'm going to keep up with Harlan Watch for sure.
I just hope we get a Gayland wedding segment.
Oh my god, yes.
God.
It'll blow the Index wedding out of the water. Oh god. I mean, I'm hoping we don't get the weird the very strange follow up condom segments.
Oh no,
those were just
what the
we
fuck
need
was
those as
that?
well.
Do you want those?
Oh,
What,
absolutely.
Harland like holding up a big strip of condom.
I want to know how many they had to go through, and if was it 9? Was it 10? No, it was like 11 or something. Whatever she said. That's the Indy Hartwell talking to I think her name's Persia Parada, and just Persia being like, so what was he? Was he 7 inches, 8 inches? And Indy just goes 9.
True.
Oh my
We need
God.
equality. We don't have true equality unless we get to that level.
And that is how you put over Dexter Lumis.
Dexter Lumis has a very large cock.
Congrats.
It's a tried and true trope in wrestling.
But what does Tony Nese think?
What does Tony Nese think about this?
Yeah, he's watching from the sidelines. He misses his
I'll
old
at him.
job and he's clapping it along.
I'll send him a DM and say, hey, what did you think about the Harland incident?
I'll probably add it in his face like big here, or I'll just keep it in the corner. Who knows?
Only time will tell what Jacob does with this edit.
Not even I know.
And also, what does Tony Nese think about the other day's Dynamite?
Oh, he was on it. I wonder. I do
He was
genuinely wonder what he thinks about it.
I didn't know he was on it.
Oh, was he?
They
there?
never mentioned it.
I never got to him or
once.
anything.
Not one time.
Sitting there in his little suit, his best clothes, as Daisy put it, his Sunday best.
It wasn't even. He's wearing like a dress shirt. I'm looking at the picture right now because it's in the corner of my screen, all tiny like that.
It's his desktop background. It's Jacob's desktop background.
I'll do it. Don't tempt me. But yeah, Tony Nese was on Dynamite, and that's the highlight. But also, maybe we had a few really good matches, and maybe like a super clusterfuck at the end, which we'd probably will disagree on. We'll disagree on that later. Let's start off with this tournament match between Dustin and Danielson, because I thought it was pretty freaking good.
Hold up.
Okay.
Before you start on that, did OC and Hobbs happen on Rampage?
Yeah, but I don't want to talk about that.
Oh, you don't? You don't want to talk about it? Okay.
We can go through Rampage.
I see.
No, we
don't have to. It was literally just that. All I wanted to say about it was that it was kind of bad. But yeah, we can move on.
Well, let's go over Rampage really quick, because you had the weird finish with OC and Hobbs, where Hobbs politely moves Bryce Remsburg to the side, and OC wins with a roll up.
Would we say politely?
I mean, he didn't throw him.
That's how I pick up my cat when he needs to pee. I put him outside like that. Just lift him up and toss him out the door. Man, listen, I'm not even mad about. I mean, some people I think are getting a little bit twisted with why this has gotten a little bit of heat, dare I say. I think that there wouldn't have been such an issue. Obviously, there are people that wanted Hobbs to win, but I think that the finishing issue is being mixed up with the Hobbs losing issue, and then people want to say that there was nothing wrong with Hobbs losing, and it's fine. Obviously, it's fine. He can lose, but what was with that ending? It felt, and I mean, you probably are gonna be talking about this later when it comes to Cody and Malachi, but it felt very WWE. It felt so weird. It made Hobbs look like a fucking dumbass. Yeah, man, it was kind of strange. But I guess everyone's kind of saw it coming in terms of OC winning, so that's happened now. I just hope that one day Hobbs will get a big win.
Yeah, and I mean, we could talk about the main event of Rampage, but most of the things I'm gonna say about it, I will also say about the main event of Dynamite. So,
it was
what was it? Can you clarify what it was?
It was Pac Andrade too.
Oh, how could I forget?
What I will say about it is that you could have told me that it was called an apron match, and I would have been like, yeah, that makes sense. That was an apron match. because they did a lot of shit just in and around the apron. There was the DDT, the rope hung DDT on the apron, where Andrade just hops over, grabs Pac's head on the way down, and hits it on the apron. It almost looked like afterwards Pac's whole head was underneath the apron of the ring, and it just looked like he got decapitated. That was hilarious. It was a very good match.
Yeah, I mean, we don't need to cover it more than that. I thought it was good. I don't think it was better than the first one, except for the ending, obviously. Take away the ending, and it was better. But I think overall I preferred the first one, except for the ending. So I don't know what I guess they come in a tie for me. Think we're gonna get a third one?
Yeah, let's. Oh, do we get a third one? Yeah, after Dynamite. Yeah, after what happened on Dynamite, I definitely think we get a third one.
I did like the which again will come up when we talk about Cody Malachi. I did like the Andrade Malachi team up, and I know Daisy liked it as well. Like that callback to their incredible matches in NXT, and now they're friends, or at least allies.
I like it for definitely like for nostalgia purposes. It got me like a little bit of a nostalgia pop, but we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we got to get into this Dustin Rhodes Bryan Danielson match, which I thought was really good. I think a lot of people discredit Dustin a bit. I feel like every time he's in the ring, he just proves again that he can still go. I do agree with some people saying that he's a bit slower, but I don't think it's necessarily bad to be a bit slower in the ring, especially if you're doing like a Danielson match. I feel like I don't feel like slowness is a limitation of Dustin Rhodes, even though technically it is. I feel like it's something that he works well into his matches. He did he jumped off the middle rope and hit a clothesline on Danielson while he was hung up on the top rope. That was fun. He did his little somersault off the apron. That was cool. It just felt like it was Danielson working around Dustin, but Dustin's very good at like adding that fiery psychology. He's an old underdog, really.
I guess the issue for me with Dustin is that he's always put into these tournaments and given these opportunities, I guess, even though there's no real reason why he should get it over anyone else. And I think that's where it comes in to annoy me, because it does feel nepotistic.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know why he was in this tournament, but just for this match and how good I thought it was, I think that makes up for it enough. But if like he's in next year's tournament, then I'm gonna be like, yeah, we don't need Dustin in these.
I'm way more cool with this match than I was with that cowbell main event we had a little while ago.
The one against.
Sorry to bring that up. Yeah, that one was fucking bad.
Yeah. Who was the cowbell one against?
Nick Comoroto.
Yeah, that one.
But sorry, anyway. Dustin, the thing that always interests me about Dustin when he wrestles is there are plenty of wrestlers, like he's very tall, obviously. There are lots of wrestlers that are taller than Dustin, but for some reason, I don't know if it's like his outfit or whatever that he wears every time, like when he's in the ring, he looks incredibly long. Like the way he could, I almost feel like he could like touch either side of the ring with his arms and his like feet. He looks so tall every time he's in there. This one was great. And although I do definitely have my doubts about Dustin, he delivered for this one, and that makes me happy, because like this, I don't want someone to fail if I think they're gonna fail. I'd rather they succeed. And he came through for us doubters, so proud of him for that. And I do still want Dustin Cody too, so I don't want him to retire just yet. Like I do want him to keep going if he can still go. And I'm hoping for that rematch one day.
Oh yeah.
And then we cut backstage for the Elite promo, where Kenny Omega basically is addressing Hangman, and the whole exclamation point to this promo was Kenny basically saying, you all believe in cowboy shit, but if you really knew Hangman like I knew Hangman, you'd be calling him what he really is, coward shit. And yeah, it was a good little backstage Kenny Omega promo. He cuts promos to be cringy on purpose.
I thought it was funny that for some inexplicable reason he brought up that Hangman wears skin tight jeans, even though Hangman doesn't really. And that he said Hangman was cosplaying as a cowboy because Kenny, buddy, you can't really be calling people out for cosplaying.
Yeah. I mean, that was the whole vibe of it, right? Like, everything he said, it was just he was talking about himself, really.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that was fun.
Was
I am hyped,
promo.
though, for the costume contest next week. Whatever the hell is going on there. That sounds fun, because I do love a cosplay, and I hope that Kenny deciding that he hates cosplays now doesn't stop him from dressing up. I hope he still does. I hope everyone does. Yeah, it was cool. And it happened. I mean, we've got so much time. We've got 6 weeks to go until Full Gear happens, so we're going to have a whole lot of promo segments to go between these two groups and people.
Yeah. And then I don't actually remember what's up next, so I'll throw it to you guys. Would you rather talk about the TBS tournament brackets or the MJF stuff?
We can just go in this order that we have here if you want.
Okay.
TBS tournament feels good.
The TBS tournament looks good. The brackets look really solid. I feel like a 12-woman tournament is more of a limitation of the time they have given themselves and not necessarily the amount of talent they have, because they could have easily found 4 more people to put in this tournament to lose in the first round. I like the fact that the bye is dictated by the ranking system. And who do you guys got for these brackets?
Ooh, you see, I don't know. I am hoping that this is where they choose to halt. This sounds so mean. I'm hoping this is where they choose to halt Jade's momentum a little bit. Like, obviously, her having the TBS belt would prevent her from going for the main title since she's so highly ranked. But I would love to see Thunder Rosa get her win back against Jade, and for it not to be Jade beating her again. That's my preference for that. Aside from that, I think having Sheeta and Deeb in the first round is interesting choice. And I think whatever happens there's going to be a little bit of a outcry, because I think that Deeb's going to win. And then no one's going to be happy with that. In terms of who's going to actually win the thing, that's a tough one, because I'm still not sure. I think that's kind of what I like about it, is that I don't know. Like, I love that I don't know actually how it's going to end, but I do foresee Ruby in the finals in some capacity. She might even win it. Yeah.
My prediction is going to be, I think it's going to be Deeb versus Ruby in the finals, and I think Deeb's going to win it.
They are on the same side of the bracket.
Never mind then. Wait, what, really?
Yeah, so the bracket lines up like this. In the first round, there's Anna Jay versus Jamie Hayter. The winner goes on to face Thunder Rosa. The Bunny versus Red Velvet. The winner goes on to face Jade. Serena Deeb versus Sheeta. The winner goes on to face Nyla Rose. And Penelope Ford versus Ruby Soho. Ruby Soho won on this episode of Dynamite, and she will be facing Chris Statlander.
Wait, that doesn't make sense. So that, I'm pretty sure that means that at the end of it, if both Ruby and Deeb win all the way to the end, they will verse each other.
No, so if they go against each other, won't they be in the semis?
They will be in the semis.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I say the semis.
I think that will happen. I think that will happen, and Deeb will win.
Yeah, I have a feeling Deeb's going to win this. I think they're having Sheeta versus Deeb in the first round, so they can have Deeb once again cuck Sheeta from having her 50th win, which I think is a good storyline. I know a lot of people are probably going to be mad about Sheeta losing again or whatever, but like that's how you tell a story in wrestling. Like her not getting that win, that is her story that they're telling. So I'd much rather her lose again and still be on that chase and still have that motivation, instead of her just winning and then what? She loses. Maybe she wins the title. I don't know. I want that to be drawn out a bit more. So I definitely think Deeb wins there. And I have a feeling I do want Jade to lose to Thunder Rosa in the semis. So
Oh yeah, okay. That was my prediction yesterday. I think it was going to be Thunder Rosa versus Deeb.
yeah, I agree. I
In
feel like that's
the
going to be the
final.
finals.
Yeah.
What did you guys think of the Ruby Soho Penelope Ford match on this show?
I thought it was really good. I think that the women's matches have been ramping up in terms of quality. Last week we didn't talk about it. Actually, sorry, last week it was the day before. Even though there was a big, massive ad break in the middle, I think the women did well in that as well. And for this one, it did its job. I think. What I enjoyed about it most, though, was the fact that the crowd was kind of into it. Crowd noise gives so much atmosphere. It helps along the matches so much, and it's just so nice to hear the crowd like actually cheering for moves and saying, "Oh, it moves!" Like that makes me happy. And so I really enjoyed it, and I think, I think it's a benefit to everybody that Ruby is so over, because it gives the crowd some investment. What did you think?
I think Ruby is such an asset to AEW and the division, and I'm really glad she's there. And it was a good match.
Yeah, I thought
Penelope has been a stalemate, like not a stalemate, a stalwart, I guess. She's been in it since the beginning, and she's consistent, and I like her a lot.
I think the match was pretty good. I feel a lot of people were critical about the ending, where it was Penelope going for the knuckles, but they get like tossed out of her hand, and Rick Knox is like, "Hey, those are brass knuckles," and he kicks him out of the ring, and she's distracted enough for it to get rolled up, and people are like, "Oh, that's a WWE finish," and that's a bit of an overused term. I think it works in this case because you've established Penelope has the brass knuckle gimmick, so she is the only one. She is the only person that should lose in this fashion by being distracted like that because her weapon got discarded. Like if this was Soho versus the bunny, and the bunny got distracted because, like, I don't know, her bunny ears. Does she wrestle in bunny ears? I'm not.
No.
So something like flies out of her hand. It doesn't make sense because that's not her gimmick, but it is Penelope Ford's gimmick, so it makes sense here. So I'm okay with the ending, and I thought the match was pretty good.
On that note, I was just gonna say, I think the term WWE finish or that's a WWE move is way overused and used wrong, because I think what makes something a WWE move or a WWE finish, in brackets derogatory, is when it's overused and not used for the right reasons, like it's not used correctly.
I hope you aren't subtweeting me from what I said before.
What'd you say before?
I said that the Hobbs and OC one was a bit of a WWE
Oh
finish.
no, that one was.
No.
Because that one was.
That
Okay,
one
cool.
was because there was no reason for that. There was no benefit to that, and it was a way to make both. It was a way of attempting to make Hobbs look strong, like it wasn't a real finish to the match. But in that case, as you know, CM Punk famously put when they asked him to make Roman look strong, and he just said, "Why don't you just have Roman win?"
Yeah.
They could have just had Hobbs win, but they didn't want to. But like,
they didn't want to make him look weak, but they made him look stupid instead.
Yeah, and that's a WWE move. Whereas in this case, it wasn't a WWE move. So I think, I think a lot of people online dismiss anything as, oh, that's a WWE move or a WWE finish or anything like that. But like, yes, WWE sucks, and they do a lot of bad stuff. But like, they've been around for decades, and they do know how. When they're good, they do know how to do stuff right. And so sometimes something being a WWE finisher isn't necessarily a bad thing. Yeah. Like we were talking earlier about the gimmicks involving like money in the bank stuff and all that. Like that's a WWE thing, but it's cool. When it's used, it's cool, and when it's used right, it's used right. Same with stuff like Hell in a Cell matches, all that stuff. Anyway, that was my little tangent on that.
Yeah, and it's also around this time that we got pretty much the confirmation that we're going to be getting Britt Baker versus Tay Conti probably at the pay-per-view. That was set up on Rampage the night before when Britt Baker beat Anna Jay in a decent match. I think people are a bit more high on that match than I am. I think Anna Jay has a ton of potential, and I think she's very good for considering how long she's been wrestling, but I still think she's kind of pretty green in the ring. But as far as Tay Conti goes, I'm super excited for her to get the spot because I think she's improved leaps and bounds and is one of the best wrestlers in the division.
We do have a graphic, by the way. You said probably. We do have a graphic, so it's definitely going to be at Full Gear.
Oh, cool.
Yay.
Yes. That is going to be very good. Ty is very good, and I like Ty a lot.
And we hopefully have, I mean, if they put in the work on this, we've got plenty of time to build. So we've got six shows between now and Full Gear to properly get a good build going for this, which I think is more notice than what we had with Chris. I might be wrong.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, so that's exciting. I really hope that they, I hope they really put in some effort to make this thing be exciting.
And they've been building Ty up. They've been building Ty up. Because after she lost her title match against Shida, she's pretty much only been winning. So it really feels like she is properly the next challenger. And this might sound a bit morbid, but I would be highly entertained if they gimmick it, or if just something happens and Ty just happens to kick a tooth out of Britt's mouth. I think that would be pretty cool.
That'd be cool. Yeah, I like that. I was just thinking, I think we've had one. That wasn't even a title match. I feel that there aren't enough, I know you weren't talking about gimmick in this sense, but I don't think there's enough gimmick matches with the women. Like, I think this would be cool if they added some sort of stipulation to it. Because I think that often the men's matches, they get a cool stip. People sometimes don't like them in title matches, and that's fine, but I think it might add a little extra layer of excitement to it, because I love a good stip.
Are you suggesting the second ever tooth and nail match?
Yeah! Yeah, but it's like whoever kicks a tooth out first.
Exactly.
Wins.
Daisy, I would like to say Daisy just said that if you don't like stipulations in the title matches, that's fine. I'm here to disagree and say that you are boring. Not you, Daisy, but people who don't like stipulations in their matches at all their title matches are boring. It's wrestling. It's absurd. It's silly. It's fun.
I still don't get people who don't like triple threat title matches.
Dumb. Triple threat matches are fun. Especially when Daniel Bryan inserts himself into the end, which up until about maybe 5 minutes into the Hangman Kenny match, I'm going to be expecting Mr. Bryan Danielson to waltz on out.
So next up we can talk about all of this fun MJF stuff, which I'm super excited to get into because it's hilarious. So Sting comes out to have a segment interrupted, which is his brand of getting interrupted.
So funny.
I love that it's a running joke.
It's so funny. It's literally like it's a Sting segment. It's like, what's that meme? It's like, it's free real estate. Like, that's everyone backstage. It's like, oh, Sting segment, free real estate, and they just run out to shoot their shot.
I just want one week for them to advertise Sting gets interrupted. That's all I want.
And then he doesn't.
And then he doesn't.
And then he doesn't. Yes.
And then everyone complains about false advertising.
No. Boring. Stop being boring, everybody. Have fun. That would be fun. Yeah.
But the man responsible for interrupting Sting this week was MJF, who, after last week, Sting came out to confront MJF after he was trying to, cheekily get a match thrown out between him and Darby, get a cheeky forfeit win over Darby, even though MJF was clearly the person who beat the shit out of him backstage. MJF came out just so good at ragging on the fans. He said that Orlando solved most of their problems with gun violence and incest, which was hilarious.
Oh my god, that flew under my radar. Apparently, that's incredible.
It's hilarious.
That is incredible. And sorry, again, a tangent from me disagreeing with the wrestling, like the wrestling fandom at large. But I don't like like everyone's like, oh my god, MJF isn't a good heel because he always insults the cities and it's cheap heat. And I'm like, yeah, but it works
That's the
and
point.
it's funny. I love it. It's like when you go to a wrestling show, like over here, if I go to my local indie wrestling promotion, which is EPW. You go there and you'll get somebody from like a wrestler from over east, so like Melbourne or Sydney, and they'll come over and they'll be like, Perth is just a bunch of fucking whatever, and they'll just insult like places in Perth, and I love it. It's so funny. I'm like, yes, insult us, King. We suck. Like, just go with it. Just go with it. Like, it's people are boring.
And the gist of the segment after MJF absolutely destroyed the city of Orlando, he comes down to basically goad Sting into taking a shot so that Sean Spears and Wardlow can beat him up for a bit. If you remember anything else that happened in this promo of note, let me know, because I am blanking on most of the actual contents of the promo. But Sean Spears starts wailing on Sting with the chair. Sting spends his one free no-sell on the first chair shot, but then just gets just hammered. MJF sits down in Sean Spears' chair, gets on the mic again, starts talking directly to Darby in the camera, and starts basically saying, hey, I beat up your dad. Are you mentally broken? Calling back to their first segment together a few weeks ago, and basically just calling Darby out for being a coward. What do you guys think of this MJF Darby Sting feud?
I was just gonna say I like it. I didn't expect MJF versus Sting to come out of this, which I guess I should have, seeing as Sting and Darby are like a package deal, but I didn't. Even if I did think that, I didn't think it would be this compelling. It's very good.
I have a feeling we might get, and we'll talk about why in a second, but we might get Darby and Sting versus Sean Spears and Wardlow.
What, when?
I don't know. I just feel like that might be something we get between now and Full Gear.
No, that actually tracks so much, because now Sting and Wardlow, not Sting and Wardlow, Wardlow and Sean Spears are accountability buddies.
Accountability buddies.
Can I just say, this is the best Sean Spears has been in AEW. He's so funny.
I don't know. There was that time he was in the room full of chairs at the Stadium Stampede 2.
Yeah, that's like the current.
Room. Okay, that's current era. Then yes, I agree.
That's current era. Yeah, he's so funny. He's just like an insane chairperson. Like he's like, I think he's really leaning into the absurdness of it all, which is something that I feel like he took himself too seriously before. And I've always had a soft spot for Sean Spears, but like I feel like he always took himself like far too seriously with the gimmick before, and it was like he was a tough, broody dude, and it just wasn't that interesting. But now it's like he's fully leaned into the absurdness of it, and it's so funny. Like during the MJF, when Wardlow confronts MJF, that promo that was next, and it's like Sean Spears is just sitting there polishing a chair. Like, what is that? That's so funny.
Yeah, let's get into that segment because it's equally as important. So backstage afterwards, MJF is set up as if he's going to have another promo on Darby, but then Wardlow comes in and he's like, hey, you threw me in front of Sting last week. What the fuck? And MJF doing his best, like, middle manager, sort of appeasing a disgruntled employee, like, hey, buddy, I'm on your side. Listen. I know you have a tough job here, but, you know, I think you need someone to, like, watch your back and do half your work for you. So I got you an accountability buddy. It's Sean Spears. And Sean Spears looks horrified because he doesn't want to be responsible for Wardlow. like someone who is in kayfabe, the walking embodiment of war. That Sean Spears doesn't want to have that on his hands, and
his funny little hey to Wardlow at the end was so good.
Yeah.
Hey.
So I'm excited to see where that buddy cop goes. Daisy, you haven't spoken in a second. Do you have thoughts on MJF, Sean Spears, Wardlow, Sting, Darby?
Yeah, that's all I think about. This was fun. Quickly going back to that segment, the in-ring promo stuff that was going on. What I really liked about this was MJF was in scary mode, and I can think of 2 times prior to this where he's been in like scary MJF mode, which the first time was the lashing, the Cody lashing, which God, I wish we could have that again. And 2 was when 2 was when he was choking out Mox. Just absolutely terrifying. Just choking him out. That was, God, when was that? That might have been whatever it was, All Out last year, something like that, Full Gear last year. And then this, where he just beat the shit out of Sting, and he was just screaming to the camera, like, "Did I mentally break you now? You care about this man? Like, come save him. Like, where the fuck are you?" Basically, I love that because MJF is usually so, I don't know, he's just such a character that you, like, the whole thing is you don't take him super seriously because, like, he's just a shit. He is, like, he's one of those people, he's a rich kid, like, he just says shit, you know, he's a coward deep down inside. So when he gets real scary, like, I love that because, yeah, it's a little side of him that he brings out every once in a while, but I think it really adds to his character, his overall character. Like, I think I really like it. And the other bit with the accountability buddy stuff, that was fun. I found it interesting that MJF was being all "I love you" to everyone, because usually he's a little bit "love you, big man." Usually he's a little bit snippy with Wardlow, but maybe he can feel him slipping away a little bit, which is why we need an accountability buddy to put him back on track. So I definitely think that we are slowly, as we have been for the past year and a half, slowly heading towards the MJF Wardlow breakup feud that's going to happen, that has been in the works since basically the start of Dynamite, and that's exciting. I don't know when the what's it called, Dynamite Diamond Ring tournament battle royale thing happens. I think that's pretty soon, but I think we're going to see a continuation of that there whenever that is.
Yeah.
And those are my thoughts.
Yes. Next on the list, we have Punk versus Fish, but we don't have to spend too much time on this. We're getting CM Punk versus Bobby Fish. I'm excited for it.
You want me to add my 2 cents on Punk versus Fish?
Please do.
CM Punk sexy.
Okay. I do want to say just on this really quick. Since returning, CM Punk has faced Darby Allin, who is a young, up-and-coming Daredevil ace-type character. He's faced Will Hobbs, who is a big muscle guy. He's faced technical wrestling prospect Daniel Garcia. He's faced high-flying veteran Matt Sydal. I wanted to say Mike, but I was like, that's wrong. That's the other one.
Don't say Mike. Daisy will go rage mode. Don't say Mike.
Matt Sydal. He's faced Matt Sydal. And then now he's facing prolific striker Bobby Fish. And if you don't understand, the people listening, if you don't understand why he's faced those specific people and their specific roles, then you don't get it. Like, people complain about how CM Punk's just been having random matches or, like, boring nothing matches, and he hasn't had a big feud yet. And, like, his storyline's boring because, like, oh, he doesn't have it all in the ring yet again. If you don't see why he's faced a Daredevil, a big guy, a technician, a high flyer, and a striker, that's the story. It's him facing all of these different elements of wrestling to get his bearings back. And so I'm excited for that match. But next, the Archer thing, sadly.
Do you mean the Tony Nese thing?
Oh, yeah. Of course. What does Tony Nese think about this?
Sorry.
No, yeah, Archer versus Eddie Kingston. It was a part of the tournament. The winner goes on to face Danielson. The match started out really hot. Lance Archer throwing fans, which is always a sight to see. But pretty early on, Archer goes for a moonsault, and he does moonsaults all the time. It's a regular part of his moveset. It's not something he went for randomly. And he just happens to land like right on the crown of his head. And then, of course, the camera cuts to Tony Nese, because we need to know what Tony Nese thinks of this.
Is he horrified? Is he shocked? Was he responsible somehow? We don't know.
Irresponsible. With his like mind powers, his gimmick is, I don't know, what's that shit called where you can raise metal things? Whatever that is. Telekinesis. Tony Kinesis.
Oh, we found his
shit.
gimmick.
He enacted his
ladies and
Tony Kinesis to
That's
make
fucking
Archer land on his
genius.
head. Thank you. I think so quick on my feet. Yeah, man, this shit was scary as hell. Like, no one likes to see a head injury or a neck injury. Holy shit. And didn't they replay it like 2 times? So they made us watch it like again
They
and
love to do
again.
that.
Yeah,
AEW
like,
love
don't
to
let
make us
me
rewatch
see that.
injuries. And it's like
I get
please
that he's
do so.
Yeah, like I get that he's being checked out by the doc and everything, but like you can see that man landed. Like it wasn't as bad as it could have been because he landed on his elbows first and then he donked on his head, which is probably why his head didn't snap off.
Mhm.
However, it still looked fucked up. And yeah, they did call it short, I believe, and that might be why timing was off in the main event potentially. But yeah, I never want to see that again, and I just hope that Lance is all good.
Yeah, I doubt that they intended to end it with him missing a moonsault, rolling out of the ring and talking to the doctor for a bit, and then rolling back in the ring and getting rolled up.
No, that was written on paper is exactly what he needed to do.
The injury was written in, like, hey, Lance, we're going to need you to land directly on the crown of your head, please.
It's so we can get Tony Nese's reaction on it.
We need to know. But yeah, it's super unfortunate that it went down that way. Eddie Kingston and Lance Archer typically have pretty good matches, and but I am excited to see Eddie versus Danielson. The promo, have you guys seen the promo that they cut during Rhodes to the Top? Danielson.
I haven't.
No, because I don't watch Rhodes to the Top.
Well, if you can find it, find it. But it essentially the gist of it was Danielson saying, if Kingston was saying last year at Full Gear, I was so close to beating Jon Moxley that I could taste it, basically. And Danielson just basically saying, you know why you haven't won the title yet? Because you don't work hard enough for it. You've been at this for 20 years, but you've never worked hard enough to get to the top. You always say you want to get to the top, but you haven't done anything to actually get there. And it was just a savage promo from Danielson that it gets you really hyped for the match.
That's rough, but it sounds good. I did see some talk about this with people saying that Danielson came off as a bit of a heel, but that might just be because they all love Eddie so much. Because maybe that might be something that Eddie would say to himself. So God knows. I'm hyped for it anyway. I mean, I guess we'll always... I mean, they had that graphic ready, so it's very likely this was meant to happen, but I guess we'll never know if Archer was meant to win or not.
Yeah. And we can also talk about the Moxley promo, because that was intense.
God, I feel like I have a different opinion. I've developed a slightly different opinion on Moxley promos to everyone else.
Yeah.
And that is that I am getting a little bit tired of them. Like, the way that he talks every time, like, is starting to bother me. Like, he does that thing where it's like, it sounds like his whole body's shaking and he's like, the whole time.
He's cracked out every single time.
Yeah. Like, I wish he'd stop doing that. Because, like, it's getting on my nerves the tiniest bit and I can't focus. And I wish that everyone was talking about how it was, like, the best promo of the night and, like, you know, it was so good. But he's kind of taking me out a little bit at the moment. But I guess hopefully he changes that up. If he is turning heel, like so many think he's going to do.
Yeah, the gist of this promo was that, like, he was thinking about the tournament and he was like, yeah, I'm gonna win. I'm gonna beat everyone and I'm gonna win. But then his daughter grabbed, like, his pinky, and then he just thought, no, I don't care about any of that. All I care about is my daughter. but in order to get home to my daughter, I need to tear through this entire tournament. And which I think the contents of that is really good. And basically, he caps it off by saying, everyone in this tournament, I'm going to get you before you can get me, which leads me to believe that Jon Moxley believes that everyone in the tournament is trying to kill him, including who he's going to face after he beats Dark Order's 10, which is Orange Cassidy. So in my headcanon, Jon Moxley believes that Orange Cassidy is a sleeper agent.
What?
He's like, he's like, he's so lackadaisical. You'd never expect him to be a cold-hearted killer.
He's a literal sleeper agent. Like, he's an agent that just sleeps.
Is the storyline here that Mox is so sleep deprived because he has an infant at home that he's become paranoid?
We can only assume that that's the storyline.
What's next?
Next up, Jungle Boy gets fucking killed.
Oh, rip Jungle Boy. We'll miss you, buddy. And your luscious locks.
Jungle Boy squashes Brandon Cutler, and then he's like, hey, I want another match. Give me one of the Elite. And then Adam Cole comes out, and he's like, hey, you feel like a big man beating up Brandon Cutler? And he's like, we can have a match right now. And Jungle Boy just like, yeah, that's what I asked for. That's why I beat up Brandon Cutler. And then Jungle Boy gets jumped. And then, the Elite start, or the Super Click, start beating up on on Jungle Boy. And they bring him over to the stage by the announcer's table. And they launch him. Like, the first angle they show doesn't do it justice because it just looks like he's doing a flip dive off of the stage onto tables. But he jumps like a good maybe like 5 feet in order to land back first onto tables. It was a sight to behold.
It was very brave of Jungle Boy to call the Elite out, like, known for having gang beatdowns. To call them out on the night where presumably the rest of the Jurassic Express weren't there because no one came to help him, and Christian was off getting beaten on the Impact pay-per-view. He still did it, so, like, props, I guess. But, like, he got owned in the end, so it didn't really work out.
Well, now that
this is a tangent again, but I just saw this come up on my Twitter, and I feel like I must mention it. I don't know what's going on in the Jericho Cruise, but there was a tag match between... So one team was Orange Cassidy and Jericho, and the other team was Danhausen and Will Ospreay.
What the fuck?
Any follow-up? Did anything happen? Did something happen?
No, that's it. Just that took me by a lot of surprise because, what?
That is for completely different people.
What?
No,
what do you mean? See, Orange Cassidy and Jericho, I'm like, okay, yeah, like, they're in the same company. They've had a lot of matches together. That makes sense. But then they just decided to sneak in Danhausen and Ospreay as a team. What?
Yeah, no, that's crazy.
That's nuts. I'm looking at this photo of Will Ospreay and Danhausen just vibing together with Orange Cassidy's sunglasses on. And it's like, did I die? Is this my brain's final, like, chemical spurt before I die?
Is this the image
and this
that
is what
I
it's
see
imagined?
death? Yeah.
The last image I see before death is... What's their tag name?
Which one?
Danhausen and Will Ospreay. Willhausen. Ospreayhausen.
Very evil, very bird.
Very evil, very bird. Oh my god. Okay, sorry, we can continue now, but that just... That got me shook.
Yeah, I think we're just gonna go to the main event because we're already
we covered basically everything.
30. Yeah.
Yep. That's the only real big thing we need to talk about. So fire away, Jacob.
So Cody versus Malachi was an absolute mess. Uh,
Uh,
I
anyway,
like
continue.
you guys are gonna probably disagree, but like I enjoyed the parts of this match that were a match. The parts that I disliked were the interferences. Uh, on Rampage, it was established for some weird reason that Andrade and Malachi Black are friends, which I don't think that should be the case. And like I don't like the idea that Malachi asked Andrade to interfere in his match tonight. And in my head, I'm going to believe that he didn't. I'm going to believe that Malachi did Andrade a favor, and then Andrade repaid it without being asked to. You know, because I don't know. I feel like there's too much interference in what should have been just like a straight up one-on-one match where because the whole storyline is Cody Rhodes finding that extra part of himself, the a bit meaner, a bit more ruthless, the part that would pull a gun on a person who tries to carjack them and then shoot them dead. He's supposed to have found that part of him in order to beat Malachi Black, but instead what we got was the Nightmare Family coming out and taking a chair away and then just disappearing. A really cool crossroad through a table. I'll give them that. But then Arn Anderson stood in the ring for like 4 minutes, which I think was probably a miscue from Andrade. Andrade coming down, mirroring the pew pew gun spot that Arn did on Rampage. And then Jose, the temp or whatever, attacks Arn from behind. It just felt like there was too much smoke and mirrors. And I won't say that this was a WWE booked match, because I don't believe it was. I feel like this is in line with... I feel like this was a Cody match, and that's my problem with it.
Do you want to go first, Tanya, or should I?
Who wants to tell me I'm wrong first?
You go first, Daisy.
Okay. I am not going to disagree with you on most of that. Like, I don't think you're wrong in anything you just said, so, like, rest. You can rest. I'm not going to attack you. The thing with this match is, like, when you look at it from afar, there's definitely a lot of issues with it, and I can totally agree with that. When I was watching it, I had a lot of fun, and I think that is what I take away most from a match, like, when I'm watching it, is like how much fun I'm having. Usually I don't think like super objectively. I've come to a point in my life in the past like few weeks where I've been like, fuck, I'm not some analytical person who's gonna like think about everything on a list and like tick which is like good on paper and what is bad, and like I tend to, at the moment, I'm trying to just enjoy things when I see them. However, I can agree with everything you said, because the Nightmare Family stuff was fucking weird. Brock just kind of like being there and then taking the chair and then putting it under the ring and being like, no, you're not having this. That was a bit awkward. Yeah, I was like, oh no, you can't cheat. Fuck off. Don't tell him he can't cheat. And the Andrade Malachi stuff, like I said before, when it first happened, I was like, oh my god, nostalgia. But when I've thought about it more, I've sort of come now where I'm like, actually, Malachi does not need this, so why are we doing it? I don't know why they're doing it. I in some ways, I think that it might be to get him more heat. He might be too over, and they're trying to get they're trying to like heel align him. That might be what they're going for with this. But if that is the case, I think it's probably a bad move, because he's so over as kind of a babyface tweener that why would you want to fuck with that? And yeah, but the wrestling in this I really enjoy between Cody and Malachi. Malachi did some sweet moonsaults, which he always pulls off beautifully. The spot with the table, like you said, Jacob, was cool. I love that. Yeah, I really enjoyed the wrestling in this one, but I can totally agree that the timing was weird. The Andrade stuff is kind of weird. And the ending, what can I say about the ending? Why didn't Cody just do a pedigree?
Yeah.
He teased it.
Yeah, but why didn't he do it?
I don't know.
Like,
and I'm holding on
I feel
to
like
it.
the fact that Malachi lost to that like that was the move that put him away, and like it was just a Tiger Driver 98. Why? I guess like the Crossroads at the moment like is nothing because everyone kicks out of the Crossroads. But like if you're gonna get a new finisher in, like either be really innovative and come up with something cool, or like commit to some whack shit like that and just do a pedigree, because like that would make everyone happy if you did that. Yeah. In terms of Cody winning, I don't really mind it. I think it's fine. I've gone back and forth on it since this feud has begun, and I don't mind. I think it's fine. However, yeah, there definitely needs to be a move for him to go heel. I think that there is. I do think that there is. I know that some people think that if you think that, you're fucking crazy, but I think that there is a move for him to be turning heel. If that doesn't happen, then I think that Tony Khan's an idiot. And yeah, those are my thoughts. I think we disagree on less than you might think.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought it was fun anyway.
Yeah, I agree with Daisy as well. Like, I had a really, really fun time in the match. I'm not, like, I don't really mind too much interferences or, like, people coming out, because, again, it's absurd and silly, and I love absurdness in my wrestling, as opposed to a lot of people who, like, I guess want their wrestling to be a little bit more realistic, for lack of a better word. But like, yeah, the Brock Anderson stuff was a bit bizarre. Like, what are you doing, mate? I actually did like Andrade coming in just to start shit. I was really impressed with the crowd during that. I thought the crowd would cheer Cody, boo Malachi. And the crowd fucking hated Cody, and it was incredible, actually. Like, there was Cody suck chants, he got booed like nothing else. I like how they chanted "Get the Glock" at Arn. That was quite funny. I wasn't fussed about Cody winning, because I think that was always gonna happen, like the best out of 3 kind of thing. And I don't have a problem with him winning. I wish there had been more at the end, something happening at the end there to cement a heel turn. But I definitely think he's still going heel. And people will pry that from my cold dead hands. Because there is, like Daisy said, there is no way they can listen to that crowd in Florida, where it's almost like we were all pretty sure that they would cheer him, where the crowd has turned on him so much. Like, it'd be really, really dumb for them to keep him face.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be more of a slow burn heel turn, because we're already seeing a lot of glimpses of it. And I think Malachi also, from his Instagram thing, is leaning into it as well. So I'm just fingers crossed that this was the plan. I wish they would have had more showing and less telling of it, but I think this idea that a lot of people on Twitter seem to have, that it's like, yeah, like, you're an idiot if you think he's still going heel. And what if someone's compared it to, like, the whole Cody's turning heel to the just let it play out people, like, implying it was like a bad thing. But if any company has earned the reputation of letting it play out, it's AEW. So I'm confident in it, and I'm looking forward to it, because I really think a heel Cody turn will be some good shit, some good drama. And I think he'd be a good opponent for Hangman when Hangman gets the title, because Hangman's such an over babyface and Cody's so hated at the moment, and especially as like a mega heel with history with Hangman, it'll just be very good drama. Mwah, chef's kiss.
Yeah, and definitely the Instagram post after the match from Malachi does basically confirm that they have a longer term story there with Cody. Basically him saying it was never about winning. It was about breaking you. It was about making you a monster. and turning people on you, and he did that successfully. I do agree that I wish there was more showing and not telling in this match. That's my biggest problem, is that they spent too much time on smoke and mirrors and not enough time on actual, like, nuance and, like, Cody doing things that are like, oh, he's a bit more of a dick now than he was before because, he learned how to kill people with guns or whatever Arn was trying to teach him. It was a good match. That I will not say that it wasn't a good match. I wish there was less bullshit. I wish there was more not bullshit. But the match was good, and the show was good. I think this was a very good episode of Dynamite. Yeah.
Why? I think this is probably the strongest Dynamite or Rampage they've had in about probably since Grand Slam for me. I found it like all the way through, start to finish. I'm pretty sure, I'm looking at this list of things that happened, I'm pretty sure start to finish I enjoyed it. There might have been one segment I didn't, but I loved the whole thing, and the end, I don't know, I just love a crowd getting worked up and stuff. So yeah, and obviously we had Tony Nese. So yeah,
made it. Yeah.
Overall, what a week in wrestling we had. And
Absolutely.
we have so much more to come. Forever.
So much.
It'll never
Forever.
stop.
Wrestling never ends. The world could end, but wrestling goes on, as we found out during COVID.
That is 100% true. And we'll be here covering the wrestling sometimes, but not in any consistent manner. This has been a podcast, guys. If you like what you hear, go ahead and hit subscribe. Give us a like. Give us a comment. If you've made it to this point in the video, give us a comment of what you thought of this. And it better be nice, or else I'm going to be mad. You can also follow the podcast on Twitter at @TripleFriendPod. There's no S after friends because Twitter character limits suck. You can also follow my voice via the Twitter at Salty Acob. That's Salty AYYYCOB.
And you can follow me. My name's Daisy, as I said before. Probably shouldn't introduce myself again. But my Twitter anyway is at @BoutMachines. I'm on there basically every day, having no life.
And I'm Tani at Twitter user at Hangman Pages. And I just want to have a shout out to our Lord and Savior Tony Nese.
And of course, follow Tony Nese at Tony Nese.
Is that really his ad?
Yes, it is. I just looked it up.
Nese. Okay. Everyone follow. Don't worry about us. Just follow Tony Nese.
Follow Tony Nese.
Follow Tony Nese. I wonder if we could get him as a guest for this podcast at some point.
Fuck no.
That's a podcast.
Bye.
Hi.